Member of Parliament for the PFP party has a number of questions for the Minister of Finance regarding the 2020 budget. Coordinator of ESF 7 gives an idea of how mass distribution of food goes on the island. But first up, Secretary General of TEAT wants community to use more online banking. Those are the headlines for Monday, May the 4th, 2020. This is SXM Daily News. I'm Valerie Van Putten. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. We have a packed newscast for you, so let's get started. Secretary General of TEAT, Mr. Miguel de Weaver, says that the Ministry of TEAT is currently in discussions regarding the conditions of the bus transportation on the island. He also came with an appeal to the community. According to the SG, there is also a need for the population to use online and internet banking. The Secretary General made the remarks at the EOC press conference, which was held on Friday last, May the 1st, 2020.
The Ministry of TEAT is in discussions regarding the conditions for the allowance of bus transportation with our colleagues of the Ministry of Public Health. Thereafter, we will be discussing the conditions with the Bus Drivers Association with the hope that we will arrive at an agreement regarding the conditions that they would have to adhere and comply with in order to provide bus service to the public. Once this is completed and agreed upon with the Bus Association, the Honorable Prime Minister will inform the public. Additionally, today I come not with much updates, but I come with an appeal. From the course of developments with our community as it relates to gradual and phased returning and opening of our economy and businesses. When we reflect upon the long lines and large gatherings of persons to go to the bank to pay their GB, TLM, or UTS, we immediately recognize that there's an extra need to convince our population to use more online and internet banking. We know these businesses have been encouraging their customers to sign up and use more online banking as well. We also understand that many have decided or prefer not to use or even don't trust online services and or internet banking. However, I am convinced that if you try it and see how easy and efficient it is, you will probably and most likely never go back in those lines unless you have to. I urge you to ask your son, your daughter, family member, or a trusted friend, or even the institutions themselves. They will gladly facilitate you because they too want you to use more online services. Take a few minutes during this time of the shutdown and visit the various sites of the banks, GB and or TLM. Just read, click, and follow how and what you have to do to sign up for online services. We are also cognizant of the fact that going to town and visiting these institutions for some people may be an outing. However, at these times, your health, and especially those of the elderly, is the most important factor.
Meanwhile, CEO of GEBE, Mr. Kenrick Chittick, who also attended the EOC press conference on Friday, May the 1st, 2020, reminded the community about the use of online banking to make their payments. GEBE's CEO also reminded everyone of the opening hours of GEBE.
Last year's sign up for online payments is so convenient and so easy to be done. Everybody can pay payments from within your home. You can go to NVTV website, it's nvtv.com, and go to my account. You can sign up by inserting information, and you can pay from all local banks.
I don't think you understand my question.
Hold on, BB. Let's let Mr. Chittick continue. Mr. Chittick?
We have been facing some concerns about a number of residents that those who don't have a bank account and go to online banking. What I've noticed in the last few weeks, the online payment clients have increased a great number since before COVID, the COVID pandemic. We are also not disclosing anyone. Long before, in the month of March, early March, decide whether to disconnect no clients. There are some persons who probably would disconnect before the COVID, and we decided to disconnect, that were not connected back. However, those clients probably have other issues related before the COVID, which could have been upset with GB. Once they come into GB, with our customer service department, it will be corrected if they're disconnected. We have over a month for sure not disconnecting anyone. In terms of the payment district, the way our system is set up in GB with our customers is not by district. We use route numbers, and the route numbers doesn't say anything to our customers. Now, right now, looking at our software system to download our clients and see how best we can sort them out to make a better plan going forward. That's what we're supposed to have next week for seniors and for live customers to pay next week. That's what we need to control right now. In the meantime, they give us time to make a better plan so we can sort our customers in probably alphabetical order or by route numbers or district.
And as we continue now with more news, on May the 1st, the Honorable Minister of Justice, Anna E. Richardson, welcomed and swore in a number of Royal Netherlands Marechaussee officers, police officers, and Royal Dutch Marines who arrived on the island on April 27, 2020 from the Netherlands and will be here in St. Martin until August 2020. All had been tested for COVID-19 before their departure from the Netherlands and was tested once again once they arrived on St. Martin. The request for military assistance was made to ensure that public order and public safety are further maintained. Prime Minister Ms. Sylvia Jacobs, chair of the Emergency Operations Center, the EOC, was consulted at a request which was formally submitted through His Excellency Governor Eugene Holliday. Additionally, military assistance will serve to support our local law enforcement officers who have all been working diligently to maintain a strong presence throughout our districts, enforcing compliance of the lockdown measures. I commend and applaud the efforts of law enforcement, whom, despite working tirelessly each and every day, understands their civic duty and continue to make the best of our current situation. It is therefore important that all citizens and residents return the favor by continuing to persevere and do their part by adhering to the measures put forth by CPS and the EOC during this lockdown period, said Minister Richardson. And still to come, President of the Windward Islands Chamber of Labor Union says government has failed workers time and time again. You'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
And as we continue now in more news from our newsroom, when it comes to the distribution of food on the island, Coordinator of ESF 7 and Secretary General for VSR, Ms. Joy Arnell, gives an idea of how mass distribution goes. Ms. Arnell says it is not their forte. They look at who are the strengths in that area. The coordinator was at the time speaking on the program Prime Minister Talks, which was aired on Thursday last, April the 30th, 2020.
I want to give a bit of an idea in terms of how distribution actually goes, because I remember we started with this mass distribution of goods following Hurricane Irma. And at that time, one of the things that we definitely realized is from a logistical perspective, it's not our forte. And within the ministry, we don't have logistics specialists. So it is something that when we planned for anything further, we really looked at who are the strengths in that area, and we looked at the cooperation that we would have. We would be able to work with the Marines, for instance, who have all those different aspects and would be able to help us. So if a hurricane was to hit, we know for a fact that once the entire island is shut down and we have to go out and do mass distribution, the Marines, they generally come in to assist, and they would be part of our team. Now with COVID, so we are ready for that, and we have a plan, and everything is there to be executed. We have the contacts, etc. And then COVID hits, and then you realize that things that you would have put in place following a hurricane cannot work in the same situation. It just is not the same. At this time, we have for instance, the Marines again would not be able to help us and assist us. And I want to say, because I missed them just now, community development with Chantal, and the police CPOs with Felix Richards. These are persons who would help us develop a plan moving forward. And the plan that was developed for dealing with distribution as it pertains to the COVID situation was in the first instance to ensure that we were able to take care of what we termed the more vulnerable in the community immediately. So we focused a lot on the elderly population, some of the disabled population, and persons who within the ministry would be recognized and listed as vulnerable. All of these different persons were able to get the first set of care packages that we distributed. We also distributed to the Court of Guardianship for the children that were in their care, as well as to CPS for some of the persons that they were taking care of and they had to deal with. And to SMMC, we gave a couple of care packages so that they could give to their clients. And this made up the first 1,500 packages that we were able to look at to prepare at that time. Then following that, we changed our strategy, because now we've reached out to the persons that we were aware of, but we also know that there were a number of persons within the community that also need assistance. And we used then what was the social assessment listing. So if you actually were able to get online and register yourself, or we implemented the 711, which then you could also register, but somebody would help you register. And with the assistance of the community councils, and I'm so sorry that Chantal isn't able to join us today, and she's very disappointed, because Chantal is our key person in the community and dealing with the community councils, along with her team of community leaders, community workers. She's the one who reaches out to the community leaders. So we have approximately 17 community councils and or representatives that Chantal has been in contact with, along with her team of civil servants from community development, family, and humanitarian affairs that have reached out and started in their communities identifying persons who would be in need, so that we can try as our best, do our very best to provide the care boxes to them.
And as promised, we will now bring you more of the president of the Windward Islands Chamber of Labor Union's Labor Day message. In her message, Ms. Elshot says that our government has time and time again failed our workers by not enacting legislation for the social protection of rights and benefits.
Our government has time and time again failed the workers by not enacting legislations for the social protection of the workers' rights and benefits. Unemployment benefits, living wages, cost of living adjustments to safeguard the purchasing power of the workers and correct the inflation on the price of basic goods and services. Employers consequently defy the few outdated labor laws by frequently using loopholes to make different forms of abuse of their position, and to terminate workers during natural disasters and also this pandemic of COVID-19. I dare say that as unions, we breathed a sigh of relief when we heard the announcement of a payroll support assistance and of stimulus packages for business to circumvent mass layoffs or termination of workers. This would have to prevent the rise in the unemployment. I must say, we are all disappointed that this is exactly what is happening at the moment without the government department or labor mediator being involved. Some employers do this without consultation with the unions, using the phrase, and I quote, termination by mutual agreement, and cunningly bypassing a number of important steps that has to be taken in any process of termination or legal termination. So this is illegal acts being committed by the employers against the workers. As unions, we have to be vigilant and educate our members to their rights so that they don't sign to anything that would be less of their rights and benefits. Workers, beware. As unions, we should be prepared to defend our members and take these matters to court to seek justice against the violation of the social and economic justice for the workers.
And in other news at this time, National Alliance NA Member of Parliament MP Angelique Rameau on Sunday applauded government's move to give the green light for study financing recipients abroad to follow summer classes as the coronavirus situation is still unfolding locally and internationally. According to the Member of Parliament for the National Alliance, she said that several students had approached her as Member of Parliament with concerns that their requests for financing to follow summer classes were initially denied. The MP then approached the relevant authorities within government regarding the situation and subsequently posed questions regarding this on the floor of Parliament during the 2020 budget debate on April the 27th, 2020. She specifically inquired about the number of students who applied, the number of students who were approved and denied, as well as the reasoning behind the denials. Shortly after, students who were denied access to summer classes were notified via email from the head of the Study Financing Division that their cases had been revisited and therefore they would be granted study financing to complete their summer classes. Rameau thanked the Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, Rudolph Samuel, and Division Study Financing Head, Antonio Alventurin, for revisiting students' pleas and ultimately granting them the much-needed study financing to proceed with their education during the summer. Ms. Rameau commended students for keeping themselves busy with their education as the current crisis continues and also encouraged them to continue doing their best while making us all proud. Ms. Rameau also lauded the Ministry of Health, Labor and Social Affairs, VSA, specifically the National Employment Service Center, on appointing local author, motivational speaker, and businessman Darren Wilson Sr. to its team. The release reads in part. And the Central Dispatch directed several patrols to Lulu's Garage in Sucker Garden on May the 3rd, 2020, around 8:20 a.m., where a man was seen breaking into cars. On arrival by the garage, the police saw an unknown man on the grounds of the towing company. He was approached by the officers who asked him to identify himself and his reason for being on the property. While being approached, the officers noted that the suspect began acting very nervous and ran away. The officers, together with the Marines, who was also arrived on the location at the time, immediately started a foot chase in an attempt to apprehend the suspect. After a short foot chase, the suspect, with initials DLM, was arrested near a house in the Sucker Garden area. He was transferred to the police station in Phillipsburg, where he is being held pending further investigation. Now turning to our weather forecast for May the 4th, 2020. A loose pressure gradient will cause mostly light to gentle east-southeasterly winds across the region. A surge of available lower level moisture in the atmosphere will likely cause some showers Tuesday morning. Slight to moderate seas will continue throughout the next several days. Now let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, Member of Parliament for the PFP party has questions for the Minister of Finance as they debate the 2020 budget. We'll have the details of that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/quick-login.
And as we continue now with more news, Member of Parliament for the Party for Progress, Melissa Gumbs, while debating the 2020 budget in Parliament recently, had a number of questions for the Minister of Finance. One of the questions that the Member of Parliament has is that she wants the Minister of Finance to share what measures will be undertaken in order to reduce the budget deficit for the coming years.
I would like, Mr. Chairman, through you, if the Minister of Finance could share, as he has mentioned, what measures will be undertaken in order to reduce the budget deficit for the coming years, considering the economic projections of COVID-19 and what we are awaiting from the Netherlands in terms of aid. Thereafter, through you, Mr. Chair, to Minister De Wever. While we understand that we've seen no tourism activity since March and will most likely see extremely low numbers until the US and Europe fully open up post-COVID, this doesn't really account for a decline that we noticed in timeshare tax. To our understanding, this amount should stay relatively the same as the tax is incorporated into maintenance fees paid by the owners, and this is paid in the beginning of the year whether or not the unit is used. So if the Minister could explain this conclusion for the faction, that would be great. To Minister Duran, through you, Mr. Chair. The post of Beheersdienst overwork for the Ministry of Vrami implies that, as we've mentioned in questions sent to the previous Minister of Vrami, a shortage of personnel. Thus, current personnel are paid overtime, which is always more than 100% of their hourly rate. Now, Vrami holds 2 revenue-generating departments, Domain Affairs and Permits. What efforts are being made, Minister, to fill these open vacancies in the ministry, particularly in these revenue-generating units? It may sound counterproductive to talk about increasing personnel costs and decreasing spending in the same breath, but additional human resources improves productivity, thereby increasing the revenue-generating potential of the ministry, which is money that we know we will need. So just that question for you, Minister Duran.
And still to come, member of the Anti-Poverty Platform says the liquidity support for St. Martin is not a gift, but a loan. We'll have the details of that story when SXM Daily News returns.
Hello, St. Martin. My name is Jose Helaga and I play basketball. I have organized basketball events in St. Martin. Sport matters to me because it makes everybody come together in unity. So I challenge the businesses community to step up for sports and help us rebuild and repair our facility. I'm also asking the community to nominate local businesses in your area to take on the challenge and step up for sport because sports matter. Check out the Department of Sports SXM Facebook page for more information. Hashtag Sport Matter, hashtag Are You In?
And as we continue now with the news, a member of the Anti-Poverty Platform, Raymond Jessurun, says that the loan, the liquidity support for St. Martin to address the COVID-19 effects that has been offered to St. Martin by the Dutch government, he says it is not a grant, it is not a gift, but a loan, which has to be paid back in 2 years with an interest rate yet to be determined.
State Secretary of Interior Affairs and Kingdom Relations, Mr. Raymond informed the Second Chamber and reporters who interviewed him after the Kingdom Council of Ministers meeting of April the 9th that the Kingdom government agreed to provide liquidity support to the three countries for April and May. 42.8 million guilders for Aruba, 177 million guilders for Curacao, and 50.2 million guilders for St. Martin. It concerns 0% loans with no repayment for 2 years. For St. Martin, 3 million euros were deducted from the 50.2 million guilders liquidity support to pay the bill for housing St. Martin inmates in the Netherlands since Hurricane Irma. That was part of the liquidity support for 2019 to cover the detrimental effects of the hurricane. So what do we see? That the 44.3 million guilders which now is left for St. Martin does not even cover the 240 million that the St. Martin stimulus plan has budgeted for the expenses that they expect and that they had calculated for 3 months only to address the COVID-19 effects in St. Martin. In other words, no grants, no gifts, but a loan, which after 2 years has to be paid back with an interest rate not yet determined. So apparently the Kingdom government expects that in June, the situation will be normalized. Mr. Knopf said that the amounts were immediately transferred to the Central Bank of Curacao and St. Martin and the Central Bank of Aruba, and that they were mostly to be used, now it comes, we quote, for that part of the community that is being hit hardest, who most feel the effects of this crisis, and where the needs are the most urgent.
And as we end this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening, this reminder from our utility company, GEBE. GEBE hereby informs the general public with regards to the schedule for the week of May the 4th to the 6th, 2020. A reminder that only 2 bills per person will be allowed for payment. On Wednesday, May the 6th, upcoming 2020, seniors and physically challenged only. On Friday, May the 8th, 2020, frontline workers and pregnant women. Frontline workers, you are reminded that you must walk with your company badge. Anyone entering the building must wear a mask and social distancing rules will be applied. GEBE's opening hours are as follows. Phillipsburg Main Branch from 7:45 a.m. to 1 p.m. Their branch office in Simpson Bay from 7:45 a.m. to 12 noon. If you would like to sign up for NVGEBE's online services, My Account to pay bills online, their customer care department will be opened in both branches to assist you with this. This option is also available via telephone. 546-1100, 546-1160, 546-1111, 546-1112, or 588-3117. Please note that this option will not allow you to pay bills if you are not a senior, physically challenged, pregnant, or a frontline worker. This only allows you to sign up for online services. The schedule for the week of May the 11th to the 15th, 2020 will be announced in a subsequent post. I am Valerie Van Putten, and just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of SXM Daily News team, we thank you for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again tomorrow.